Dearest Rumi, I'm writing to you by firelight here in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm reminded that our correspondence has tarried far too long. I have to tell you, Rumi, the humidity here could punch a dolphin's dick off. Fuck, it is hot. Rumi, if I should die here in Savannah, chawing upon about an alligator or other swamp varmint, please let the world know that they can follow my former lifelong antics on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LaunchpadPod and our website, launchpadpod.com. And watch me sit in the dark, pretending to pen this correspondence by firelight on our YouTube channel. And though I'm here in Savannah, my heart is with my beloved Kate, my dearest Samantha, and you, Rumi, you in the Launchpad. Let us proceed with the program.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm confused. If you're just tuning in, Aaron did a slightly unconventional intro. Aaron, walk us through.
I'm in Savannah, Georgia. So here's what happened. I finished up The Walking Dead. We're done. I was like, great. I can't wait to take a well-deserved break. It's been fucking 26 episodes, almost 2 years of filming. And I get a call and they're like, hey, we just fired our VFX team for Fear the Walking Dead. How soon can you get to Savannah, Georgia? And I was like, I'm not going to Savannah, Georgia. And they were like, and I was like, Kate, they want me to go to Savannah, Georgia. And she's like, I mean, find out how much they want to pay you. So here I am in Savannah, Georgia.
So she was like, so I could stretch out that entire bed all by myself? All right, I'll miss you.
Well, you know, they made a good deal and I got the whole team. I got to bring the whole team with me. My boy Tommy's down here. What up, Tommy Harris? So the whole team's here together and we're kicking ass in Savannah, but it is so fucking hot. Like,
yeah, I bet.
Like Georgia's hot.
Wet as shit.
Dude, you just step outside. You're like living in yogurt. You're just like, you can just eat the air. It's so
That's
thick.
how New Orleans was. It was like, I had a call once at New Orleans. I think the call was like 5 a.m. And we were in a warehouse and you got there and it was just, it was like you got out of a pool. Like literally just walking into the building, you were drenched. Yeah. It's not an exaggeration. It was gross. It was a dead lizard in my ship.
Ew, Rumi.
Yeah, I don't even know when it got in there.
So yeah, I'm in my mediocre hotel roroom. This is the second room. It looks
a lot like your mediocre nerd room.
Yeah, I have the filter on. That's why my fingers are all weird. Whoa. I've had to move rooms once already because the AC went out in my first room, and they were like,
"Oh my god!"
Yeah, and now I'm in a room that smells faintly of cat pee pee.
Wait, are you in a pet hotel?
They're allowed to have pets, but I didn't think they were allowed
other
to have
people
cats.
Staying there. Are they humans or are they animals?
That does say where they're always like, "What up, meow?"
I love to think that the next client that stays in that hotel, the next guest is like, "Meow, meow. My bed smells faintly of Aaron pee."
I certainly am peeing a lot in their bed. No. So we were cruising around Savannah, like looking around, seeing what they got, and there is this like cat cafe. It's just all these people like drinking lattes while petting kitties, and I was just like, "That's a thing you can do."
The people that work or the things that work there, are they humans or are they cats? Like who's the barista? You know what I would love to see? Like a cat barista is like standing there. It's like, Aaron, your triple Floca Boca Choke is here, and it puts it on the counter and then just goes smack.
Don't you do it! Don't you do it!
Yeah.
And they're
I got a Frupa Loopa Chupa Dupa for Matt. Smack.
And then you
smack that shit right off the table.
try to walk past the door and their little paws like fuck with you. And you're like, God damn it. And then they're just like, ah. And you're like, what?
That's what it's like at the drive-thru. If you go to the drive-thru of that place, the little window opens and instead of giving you their food, that hand just goes. This is a good time to point out that you guys should be watching us on YouTube so you can watch two 40-year-old grown men act like cats working at a coffee shop.
There's a hair in my drink. Can I get my money back? I'm like, no.
Oh my God.
Well, Roomy, I see some additions to your room. I have a fake room put up. You have, is that a papercraft R2D2?
Dude, one of my proudest dad moments that I've had so far. Kent's like 3 and change now. We all had COVID a couple weeks ago, so technically we have like a little bit of immunity. So we've been pretty cautious throughout because of him. We didn't want him to get it. Now he already had it, so we like have the boop 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 invulnerability star for a little bit. So
I got that.
That's what I keep saying. Invincibility star. So the other day I'm picking him up from daycare, and there's a comic book store near his daycare, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's Friday. I think it was Friday. I was like, let's just go. So we go in there, and we're the only people in there. And there's an owner who's probably like 10 or 15 years older than me sitting behind the desk. And we walk in and he's, hey guys, how's it going? Can I help you find anything? No, just browsing. So Kent, if I haven't explained it before, I think I have. When he walks into a comic book store, it's just, Dad, come, I show you. He doesn't know what he's showing me. He just runs in a direction until he sees something. Is like, Daddy, look, Green Goblin. He hates Spider-Man. Dad, come here. Look, Carnage. He's like Venom. Dad, come, look, Doomsday. He kills Superman. Dad. And he just runs back, forth, bing, 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 bing. And he like, you worry that he's going to like hyperventilate. And, you know, my boy knows his shit. The stuff he knows is ridiculous. One thing I play with him is we play face hugger. I will creep up on him with my hand and he goes, no, Daddy, no face hugger. And while he grabs that one, I go, watch out for his brother. And the other hand comes up and it lays an egg and he says, no egg in my belly. So there's a life-size face hugger in this place.
Spit water out at that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He knows. He doesn't know what it is. And he's just now starting to get interested in Predator and Alien. Amazing. But I'm not, by orders of my co-parent, my wife was like, no, let him have a childhood. He doesn't need to do everything right now. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But he's running around and the guy's like, hey, is he a big fan? And I was like, he's a fan of all this stuff. If it's nerdy stuff, he's into it. He says, especially Star Wars and superheroes. And he's like, here, come here, check this out. And he takes me around a stack. And there is this. If you guys are not watching the YouTube, check it out. It is a life-size paper, like cardboard display R2D2. And it's in pretty decent shape. And Kent and I have been in that store before and we've seen it. So when we rounded the corner, I knew what was coming. And he was like, hey, if you guys are interested, you can just have this. And I was like, I won't even, like, I'm not even modest or humble enough to pretend to say no. I was like, we will absolutely take that. I said, I don't know if my wife will be excited about it, but we will take you up on that. He's like, yeah, I used to work at a Barnes and Noble and it's a DK Books. You know, those big like visual encyclopedias of Star Wars and stuff. He's like, this used to be a display piece there and I have had it for years. He says, it's dirty. It's kind of falling apart. I have to keep putting it back together every couple of weeks. He's like, if you want to take it off my hands, it's yours. So I was like, fuck yeah. So now I'm like super excited. We didn't even buy anything yet. So now I'm like, okay, I got to buy a bunch of stuff. So I bought Ken's a bunch of comics. He had some old vintage Star Wars toys and shit. I bought Kent the Darth Vader carrying case, you know, the one that the clamshell that opens up.
Yes.
He's got a ton of figures. I knew he would like it. And this is not the reissue. This is the old one. So I text Amanda on the way home. I was like, you're not going to believe what we just got. So we're driving. And as we're driving down the street, she's walking our dog. So we wave and I pull up. I was like, let's get in your room. We snuck in, brought R2D2, put on the Star Wars theme while we waited for Amanda to walk in. I'm sitting on the floor watching my son play with literally vintage all the way to current Star Wars toys. Looks and goes, Dad, where should I put Bosk? In his case. And standing behind him is a life-size R2D2. And I'm like, literally, I could die right now and I'd be 100% content watching my kid play with all these Star Wars toys in a vintage Darth Vader carrying case with an R2D2 that he got for free for being a fucking nerd. I was like, wow. I was so proud and also so excited.
Mr. Corrigan, Dad of the Year acceptance speeches can only go for 40 seconds. The music starts playing off. It happens to be Star Wars. Do, 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 do. And you're like, I'm going to finish. They play
I'll let you
off.
finish. Well, because the guy gave it to us, I was like, all right, I'm going to buy some comics here. So I was looking through the back issues to try to get some characters and stuff that Kent specifically likes. He's really into Doomsday and Superman, and there's the 30th anniversary is in a month.
Yeah.
So they're having like a big, celebration. There's their new comics and stuff. I specifically like ordered one for he and I, like one for me, one for him.
So he
one
can
to
fuck
keep
it up.
Polly back.
Yeah.
So he could fuck. And he's excited. And I let him pick out his own cover. There's like 10 variant covers, so I let him pick out his own cover. And he likes Doomsday. He's into it. But like we're picking stuff out. The guy comes in. There's another guy looking at stuff, and Kent's like, "Daddy, look, face hugger." And the guy like literally turned around and looked at me, and he goes, "It's impressive that he knows that." It's like, yeah. Fuck
yeah. So we've been traveling a lot. So I've been down here. I went and visited Kate and Sammy up in Ohio. We went to Columbus, Ohio to visit our cousins, which was super fun. The second I get there, I got 4 little girls being like, Uncle Aaron, tell me about Star Wars. Uncle Aaron, tell me about Pokemon. And, Sammy's there. It was great. It was a good visit, but like exhausting. Like there's 5 kids running around.
Yeah.
So then they left there. I flew back to Savannah. They went on and visited her parents. And while we're there, I'm FaceTiming them. And she goes, Daddy, look, Joker. And she holds up this little like Playmobil Joker. And she goes, Superman, and pulls up a little Superman and shows me both. And she goes, he fly. And I was like, I mean, I'm a little disappointed that DC is her first experience to comic books, but what are you going to do?
But Joker was the first thing. That's a pretty good entry. If you started with Superman, maybe it'd be a little like,
look, Daddy, Joker, where Joker? Where Joker? And she's like looking for it. And I was like, Daddy, why so serious? No, she didn't say that. So I've been here and I've been hitting up the comic shops, and I let me show off some things. I got the Paper Girls Omnibus, which my camera, there it is.
Yeah, it looks like a Predator cloak.
Paper Girls Omnibus. For those of you who know, Paper Girls is a show that Amazon just canceled. Fuckers.
Everybody on social media was saying it was amazing. Everybody was like, and just like you, like I saw so many people who were like, I love the book. The show is doing it justice. I saw so many people being like, never read the book, saw the show, now bought the book, and I'm engrossed in both.
The book is fucking great. Like the book is really cool. And I watched the first 2 episodes and was like, cool, I don't have time to finish this. I think it's good. I think it's going good. Like it seems cool. I don't think it's as wild as the comic book is, but they're doing their best for a TV show adaptation of a comic book, and the characters are there. I got this one. This is called Pastaways. This one it's kind of a weird one. It's a Dark Horse. Pastaways, face down the time stream. And I started reading it. It's like hard sci-fi. It's kind of interesting. It's just about these people who are trapped in our time, like 2014. Well, I mean, past time, but they're from the future and they're trapped back here trying to solve things as the time rip gets worse and worse. And the last one I picked up was Gideon Falls, purely on the fact that Mark Millar said my personal pick is the best comic of 2018. So I haven't read that one yet, but I'm excited to.
I'm rereading right now. I haven't done anything new. Although, you know what I did just buy? The novella, Who Goes There, which I've never read. It's the original source material that they made the thing from, and the thing from Another World. I haven't read it yet. And I actually don't know too much details about the story. So I'm interested in that.
Yeah, let me read that too. I can't promise it'll happen soon, but let's do an episode on that.
I believe it's like literally like 160 pages.
It's short
or
as
something.
shit. Yeah, no,
it's a novella. It's not a full novel.
I'll pop it on Audible or some shit and just listen to it in the car.
All right.
I've been listening to a long form podcast called Download. And it's called Downloaded: The Rise and Fall of Ain't It Cool News and Harry Knowles. And I don't know about you, but did you ever visit Ain't It Cool News back in the day?
I don't know about back in the day, but now, like when it's something, I see a headline has something.
So like it was probably the most popular internet movie news website. And they got some big exclusives. Like they were the ones who secretly premiered Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and like all these like crazy movies, and Alamo Drafthouse and was a big part of their stuff. And Button-Umathon was like a 24-hour film festival that they did. And it's like they basically changed the landscape of how cinema was done, because it started with them ripping on the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin and basically getting it tanked, and then like saying, this is what we want. We want good movies. We want good nerd movies. And they changed the landscape for that from, you know, how studios invested in film. So it's like not them by themselves, but like they were a huge force of it. And then, you know, suddenly you find out what all these basement nerds are toxic. What Harry Knowles is a kind of a fucking grabby predator. Oh my God. Not a cool predator, a shitty predator, not a, you know, a shitty, like, yeah, what a piece of shit. Anyway, so that all fell apart, and good riddance. But at the same time, you're like, I didn't know that the internet like caught, like how the shift from where we were with cinema to where we are now with, you know, all the Marvel movies and the franchise shit. It's all because of like internet fandom, which is fucking wild, but it kind of chronicles how that happened. So pretty interesting. It's like, there's like almost 15 hours of content. So I've been listening to the shit out of this. Pretty fascinating though. Like fucking wild.
I have so much I want to be doing. I have so much TV shows. I have so many movies.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, like the new reboot of RoboCop was on my short list to try to rewatch again. That just got put on, I think, Prime or something. I remember watching it being like, it was way too long and the story got real watered down at the end, but it wasn't as terrible as I thought it was, except that his hand was a hand. That makes no fucking sense.
Well, it's all because in the first movie, they're like, should we save the hand? Like, fuck no, get rid of that shit. And then this one, they're like, we saved his hand. And you're like, fuck
if you were fighting a robot that had a human mouth and a human hand, where would you shoot?
Right in the face, baby.
Wrong. It's a RoboCop movie. You shoot the dick.
Here's my biggest issue with that RoboCop movie. If it looked the way it did and was as smart as the original, it would have been great.
Agreed.
The problem was you're not even as good as the second one. You're not even as good as the shitty third one. The third one sucks balls, but at least it's got robot ninjas. Your movie was so toast. It was just fucking white bread toast.
Yes, it was.
There was nothing special about it other than it looked cooler than the original. It looked cool. I give it that it looked cool. I have no problem with the suit design. I thought it looked bitchin'. I love some of the scenes where they like took his suit apart. He's like, he was also lungs. His lungs are breathing in the glass jar, and you can see his head.
I like the Ed 209 design and the idea of that it was more military than police. I like that. It was cool. Yeah, I got to rewatch it, but
I have no problems with any of the design work. But you totally watered down one of the greatest satires of the 80s. Like better than like Airplane or like movies that were like, hey, we're jokes. You're like, the movie about a robot cop is a comedy, and you're like, actually, it's hysterical.
Yeah, I think that gets forgotten. Like, it's like if you pull back from it and look at the cover and just look at the like what scenes, not you and I, but like most people remember the action scenes and the sci-fi scenes, which obviously are very strong in that film. But yeah, when you listen to some, and it's not even just the commercials and the news reports, which are obvious satire, but some of the lines in that movie that just are in the dialogue, it's fucking great. Like the guy, the mayor who takes people hostage, and he's yelling, his demands are pretty like I want a car. Yeah.
I want an SUX 9000.
And I want it like, and he said, I want shitty gas mileage. Yeah. It's like that is it's well thought out.
Oh, well, speaking of RoboCop, if you are a NECA collector, I think you can find the new RoboCop toy in Target.
Ooh. What is it?
It's just RoboCop. It's like a really nice, like ultimate RoboCop figure. Comes with some guns,
like a 7-inch scale or something.
Yeah. I already have a bunch of RoboCops. I'm definitely, I'm definitely going to get it. I'm pointing at my fake background. Like, look at my RoboCops. This is making me so homesick, man. I'm looking at my house. I'm like, oh, here I am in my boring ass cat pee hotel room. So I've been doing a bunch of plane flights lately. I flew out of Savannah. I flew into, Ohio. On the way, I watched a nerd movie. I watched Spider-Man No Way Home.
On a little plane screen?
Yeah, that's where I watch all my best movies.
First of all, do you remember like when there was a movie and you like looked in the aisle at the end of the aisle they had they're like, here's the movie you don't get to pick. Like, we're going to play and it's the edited version, so it's edited for time, edited for content.
Yeah. It's like it fits your flight perfectly and you're like, that was great, but how did ET escape? He just suddenly was home? Like, fucking weird.
But okay, so you watched Spider-Man No Way Home on a cell phone size screen.
I'm in first class. It's a little bit bigger, baby.
Ooh la
la. Anyway, so I watched it and I don't think I've been so pissed at a movie in a long time.
Now, I did not have that reaction at all. If anything, I was like, it was fun and it did honor to Spider-Man. I am so excited to hear you because and I think we mentioned this before, a lot of times our ideas for episodes, one of us will text the other one and be like, I'm very excited, very disappointed, very upset. I'm something about something.
Passionate.
Right. Rumi texted me about this and he was like, we need to do an episode on No Way Home. I have opinions. I think he said, I have strong opinions.
I have strong opinions, yeah.
And that's all he said. And I was like, I know he doesn't like it from how, I know there's something wrong by the way he wrote that. And I also was like, this will be very topical now that the movie has been not only out of theaters, but on streaming for like a fucking year.
And also they've made like 3 more sequels after that of other fucking Marvel movies.
Yes, spoiler alert, he found his way home, but I can't wait. So just jump in here.
All right. So I was super against the reboot of the Spider-Man to begin with, because I was like, at least give Andrew Garfield a third movie. Like, at least let's see what the third movie is. Like, please. Like,
did you like the second one?
I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't great, but I've seen it was better than Spider-Man 3. Like,
yeah, well,
arguably,
come on now.
Yeah, well, arguably the third movie always blows. So they were purely like, well, the third one's going to suck, so let's just skip it. All right. So Spider-Man Homecoming was surprisingly good to me. I had no hope for it. I was like, this is going to be some bullshit Avengers shit. And it was, but they did it great. The characters were great. It was heartwarming. I liked what they were doing. And then Far From Home. Whoa, Mysterio. How are you going to pull this shit off? Whoa, you pulled it off. Mm-hmm. You pulled off Mysterio. What a hard character to pull off. What an interesting take on that character. Wow, he's in real deep shit now. I'm very interested to see how they're going to finish this story out. We get to Spider-Man No Way Home, and this fucking idiot kid is all like, wah, me and my friends can't go to the same college together? Fuck you. No one gets to go to the same college as their best friends, you fucking idiot. What a moron.
Not the people who don't know wizards.
Right? I can't get into the same college as my friends. I can't get into one of the hardest schools to get into in the freaking world with my friends. I'm already pissed at this movie because they started with like, suddenly everybody knows he's Spider-Man. That's the problem the movie needs to solve. And
correct.
Like,
you can't. Yeah.
Also, I can't get into MIT. Where? Lots of people can't get into MIT. There's a whole fucking issue with people not being able to get into MIT. A couple years ago, there was an entire scandal about rich people trying to get their kids into Harvard and MIT by paying their way, and people are going to jail because of it. Spider-Man can't get into MIT? Not fucking surprised. Nobody gives a shit. This should not be the plot of this fucking movie, let alone how can I get into MIT? Fucking magic. Let's go ask the fucking wizard, who's an adult. The fucking adult in the story is like, sounds like a plan. Now I get that is the joke. That's like part of the funniness of this movie, which is, it's very punny. Like the whole movie has like funny things. That's fine. And it's funny that they're like, this is a terrible idea. And he's like, sure is, I'm in. I get that that's a joke. It's fucking stupid, especially after we've seen them save the world together. He knows goddamn better than to do magic for a kid so that he and his friends can get into MIT. Oh my God. You should have stuck with the, I want people to forget me so they're not in danger. So that my friends aren't in danger. That's the whole thing that makes sense. You are one sentence away from this movie being fine. Hey, my friends are in constant danger because everyone knows I'm Spider-Man. Can you make people forget that I'm Spider-Man? Same plot. Okay, great. But the MIT stuff was so misguided and so offensive to MIT. So offensive to Spider-Man and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is fucking lazy ass shit. Because guess what? You didn't know how to write this script because you started with, hey, wouldn't it be fucking awesome if we got Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and the new Spider-Man who's fucking can never remember his name all in the same movie? And they're like,
Tom Holland.
Tom fucking Holland. They were like, what a great idea. How do we start the movie? And they're like, we don't fucking know. We'll just work backwards. And they work backwards and they're like, he can't get into MIT. And they're like, that's a real problem when you already had the problem in your hands.
If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, there's smoke coming out of Aaron's headphones.
You had the right thing and you just totally pivoted to the wrong thing within like 10 minutes of the catalyst of the movie. So then they start getting the weird bad guys. Okay, that's fine. That's super cool. I'm super into all that stuff. Not enough Willem Dafoe, but that's okay. That's okay. You know what? We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Then you have to go and take a giant fucking dump on science. You're definitely not getting into MIT now, you fuck. They're like, hey, we accidentally brought all these bad guys in through some sort of dimensional rip. Doctor Strange is like, I'm not going to help you clean up your own fucking mess. Here's a box to do it. You got to send them back. And he's like, oh no, they're going to die. I have to fix them and then send them back. And then they're going to die later. None of that made sense. And then he's like, how do I fix it? Okay, Doc Ock's little brain thing is messing with him. Okay, fix that. The lizard, I can turn him back to human. Okay, you can fix that. Green Goblin, he's crazy, but I got a serum to fix that. I'm sorry. If you actually had gotten into college, you would have found entire halls of books dedicated to trying to solve the very problem of what do we do with crazy people. And the reason there's halls
also
of
was
books,
a ticking clock. It wasn't like they had 3 years to solve these problems. They essentially cured all of these guys in like a 30 hour period, right?
In a montage of like pouring one test tube into another and like green smoke coming.
And every time he cured somebody, he then had an ally to help him. He's like, oh, good thing half of the Sinister Six here are super geniuses. Yeah. Good thing you're on my team now.
And it was just, it's offensive to science. And like, look, I get that a science fiction comic book movie needs a montage and the science doesn't have to be real, but like insanity isn't cured with a syringe and immediately like, he's like, I'm better, fucking great. Like that's offensive to science and crazy people. As a crazy person, I'm pissed off.
Let me give you your syringe. Let me save you before I shoot you back.
The stupid fucking science shit was offensively like glossed over bullshit. I would give you tons. I give all the other science bullshit that they did. Like, hey, let's make Spider-Man a suit in 30 minutes with a nanobot machine printer. I'm on board with that. Any of the Iron Man movies. Hey, we can go into space and time travel. I'm on board with that. But the fact that like, let's solve crazy with a test tube montage and some bullshit. Fuck you. I'm more pissed is that they had the movie. 3 Spider-Mans, fucking cool. The fight scenes, great, fine, you did all that. All the extra bad guys from the Sinister Six, awesome. But you were so offensively misguided in your approach to science and disregard for what the audience can believe in your bullshit science and the whole like MIT thing. Fucking Horrible. And then at the last second, Doctor Strange shows up and was like, well, I guess I better solve this myself. You could have done that from the beginning, butthole. Where the fuck were you? Where the fuck were you the whole time? The whole time.
Butthole supreme.
You were letting these children fuck up the universe. And then at the end, he's like, well, everybody forgets that you're Spider-Man. We're back to square one. God damn. I was so pissed at this movie. I've already tested this whole screaming fit at the old lady sitting next to me, and she agreed with me.
On the plane.
Yeah,
was she also watching, or she just had no context for why you were so irate?
No context. She had no context. She's like,
you just looked at some old lady who was just trying to read and go to sleep on the flight. You were like, you can't cure insanity with a syringe. She was like, help.
She's like, at least he's not airdropping me dick pics. I was irate. I've never been so mad at a tiny screen in my life.
I remember it being childishly simplistic. And I remember that, like, but for me, I guess I was just like, okay, I understand that you're doing that as a film. You're doing that because you're trying to get through to the next part.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Rumi, I've been excited to talk about this as a larger issue, but I don't know if it's my old age or because of Kent or chilling, but I'm suddenly like, unless you're like offending me, and I understand that this offended you, but unless you're offending me, I'm like, fucking whatever. First of all, I don't have enough of me left to be toxic about fandom shit. And like, maybe there was certain things about it in the past, about this part or that part, that I would get pissed off about something and hate on something, even though it didn't, the whole movie didn't deserve to be hated on just because I hated the casting of the lead character or whatever.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, you made another Star Wars and it's subpar. All right. Was it a waste of my time? If not, like, Boba Fett was close, but it wasn't a waste of my time. It was fucking Rancor, R5D4, the Boba Fett, the armor was there, Slave One, so it's like, for me, I can't say I enjoyed that show, but it's like when I'm walking in the mall and I see a shirt and it's a Star Wars shirt that has no reaction, no, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't do anything, no benefit to my life. But like, I like Star Wars, and I looked at it as I walked by. That was an extra second of Star Wars I had that day. Boba Fett was an extra 4 hours of kind of Star Wars stuff that I saw in a week. It's like fucking great. Spider-Man is like that for me, but like Spider-Man I care about. I care about as much, probably more than Boba Fett as a character. And this, I guess what you're saying, I have zero argument for and agree with, but they didn't fuck Spider-Man up. I don't like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I've rewatched all of them recently. It just doesn't, it's not what I want Spider-Man to be. It's not what I think he should be in many things. And maybe I'm not spending time hating on it anymore, but it's not what I want.
I certainly have no time to get this pissed off about this stuff. Absolutely.
You say that, but you texted me to schedule time.
I was trapped in an air tube. What else was I going to do but get mad about it? I don't like flying to begin with. So it's like, if the movie, but most of the time, like, I'll watch a movie and like, I watched the Hellboy that nobody liked and was like, this is great. I don't know what y'all are mad about. This is Hellboy. I'm
great,
Hellboy
or
stuff.
It was fine. It was great and fine, or two different things.
I thought it was great. Like, not as good as Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
No argument there. Not as good as Guillermo del Toro. No argument there. But as far as like a third Hellboy movie that is not trying to be a sequel to the other two, that's just like, hey, more Hellboy. Great. I'm here for Hellboy. That Hellboy movie was absolutely fine. No problem with it. I saw it on a tiny little screen. I saw Avengers Endgame on a tiny little screen and was like, man, that was way better than I thought that movie was going to be. Like, actually really good. This one, I don't know why, it just ticked me off really early on, because I guess it was just like, we've seen, because they were so close, because you had all the elements, and you just like, it's like trying to watch somebody like plug in like an extension cord and they just keep like not being able to put it into the right thing. And you're like, it's not that hard. You're super close. Like just, and like, you just want to scream at him, grab him from him and just plug it in. And you're like, the movie, you were so fucking close. And it just kept getting me madder and madder when they were like so close to just doing it fine, like being acceptably fine. I would have probably given all the science bullshit a pass if I wasn't already amped up about the like, wait, this movie's about him not getting into MIT and then like almost fucking the world up over it. Like,
see, I read that, like I felt that, but it didn't bother me. And I did not think, you're right. You're like 2 sentence tweaks away from making it fine and making it make more sense. It would have been a cool thing to open the movie with one of his friends, like his sidekick or MJ or whatever her new name is or whatever. One of them, Aunt May, almost getting killed by something because everybody knows.
Yeah.
And why is like, that would be just as driving a force. I guess you kind of needed whatever that was to wedge them apart at the end of the movie, right? He needed to be on the outskirts.
Then have them all get an MIT. But like,
sure, I mean, you very much could have done that. I'm not defending it.
Well, here's the other thing is like, there's tons of things that I feel like, yeah, whatever, who gives a shit? Like, I hate the prequels, but whatever, they exist, and I'm not going to like get bent out of shape about it unless you want to talk about the prequels. Here's Twilight. Like, Twilight exists. I don't like Twilight, but like it exists and people like it. That's fine. It doesn't fuck up my version of vampires. It doesn't fuck up Blade for me. It doesn't, I guess here's the thing. Why is that the one that amped me up? When there's so many things that you're absolutely right. Like, in our old age and our wisdom, we're like, yeah, it's not worth getting bent out of shape about it. I see people, oh God, people shitting their pants over black elves in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Or that Namor is a different ethnicity than they want him to be or something.
Actually, can we talk about this?
Sure, but I admit I don't know a lot about it, but.
Well, okay. Have you ever had a time when you were younger, maybe less informed, maybe less aware, where you were upset about a racial casting?
I'd have to think about it, but the only thing I could think of is, and I wasn't upset. It was just like, why? When they made Michael Clark Duncan the Kingpin.
That is the exact. Daredevil. That's the exact example that I have. And you were
was like, wait, what? Like, why? I just was like, why? It didn't bother me, but I was like, is there a purpose? And I didn't see the movie when I heard it or saw it, but I was like, why? Is there a reason?
And again, I wasn't mad because I didn't care about the property, but you're like, well, that's weird because Kingpin's a white guy. But then you see the movie and he's one of the better actors in the movie. It actually is one of the best parts of the movie. And then like another example is like, then you realize you're like, oh, it didn't matter because the movie sucked anyway. So like it doesn't.
I like it more than I should, but I like it.
Okay. But then like everybody shat their pants when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker and he proved every single one of you wrong. And it's like, you suddenly realize like, oh, getting shitty about casting is a dumb fucking thing. Just this week, we saw the trailer for the new Little Mermaid movie, and I haven't seen it, but I guess some people were like, oh, she's back. Oh, no. And you're like, dude, they already made the white chick version. Like, who cares? Who cares? Just don't see the movie if you're offended.
Well, the thing
who cares?
I remember hearing that they were making or going to make a Peter Parker that was gay. And I remember like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but if you take a character that has existed since the 60s and change something almost foundational, right? Like your sexuality, your sexual orientation, you could debate whether you have that at birth or you grow into that or you develop that, whatever you want to say. The fact that we had this character for 40 fucking years before I even heard that was a thing. My question, I guess the same as the race thing, is why? Like, why are you making him gay? Is this a new a new story arc that you're trying to do something with? If so, first of all, it's fucking art, right? Like when you make comic book, when you make a movie, when you make a video game, you're making entertainment, you're making art. as a creator, you're doing that because you want to create, right? That's your job. You want to tell stories. You want to make characters. You want to do CGI. You want to do puppets. You want to make fucking stories. You want to make people laugh. You want to make them cry.
Right.
Who am I to tell you how to do that job? If you make a Peter Parker who's gay and I don't like it, I don't have to read or watch or play or
there will be, but the good thing about like being able to experiment with a character like that, and I think the positive side of that is like, well, that could be something interesting because we've seen the high school drama Peter Parker for 40, 50 years. So like, if this is a spinoff, like, and I think the gay Spider-Man isn't like a continuity thing. It's its own separate like thing that it's holding on to. And it's like, just see where the story goes. It might introduce new dramas and new things that you weren't thinking about that might make Spider-Man, this version of Spider-Man, more interesting. When they made Miles Morales and like brought him into like full on canon, people were like, "Oh my god!" But it's like
that's my thought is. Yeah. You know, you think of everything as like I guess like a road, right? You think of Spider-Man as a road, a path, and it can go up and it can go down and it could veer this way and turn and twist, and it can come back to where it was at any given point. But if you veer too far from that, you're now a different road. And there's nothing wrong with that, but now you're Miles Morales. Yeah. Miles Morales was a completely different Spider-Man. It was a completely different character that they tried new things with. I get it. If you want to have just to go with gay Spider-Man as an example, I don't know if that was going to be high school or in his grown-up age or whatever. But like, take that premise, whatever about that premise as the creators appealed to you. Why can't it be insect boy? Like, why does it have to be Spider-Man? Why are you making Spider-Man gay or anything? Unless you think that is going to do something to further the character or further the storytelling, which I guess you don't know until you do it, right? Like, remember after Superman came back from Doomsday, far after that, remember he split and there was red Superman and blue Superman?
Sure.
I didn't read it, but I remember seeing it and I remember everybody hated it. Why did they do that? Like, what was the motivation? Like, what was the reason that they were like, this will be good? You know what I mean? When you make a character and you say, you know what if Alfred Pennyworth really was in MI6 or whatever?
Sure.
And then you start to think about it and you're like, that's pretty cool. It actually kind of makes sense. It's certainly intriguing and does not necessarily veer too hard from the Alfred Pennyworth road that we already know. So for me, like, that makes sense. Then you have the Kingpin, Michael Clark Duncan casting. They didn't make him, for lack of a better term, urban or anything like that. He literally was the Kingpin that we know.
Yeah.
But he was black. For me, it's like, okay, that's a casting thing. That's putting him in a different costume. I don't give a shit about that. That makes no difference. I just think sometimes they try to throw a radical element that's a right turn into a character for no reason other than let's see what happens or let's sell comics or
I mean, there certainly is the danger of you just made a choice to appeal to a targeted audience or a broader audience.
Right.
And I guess at the end of the day, it's like, as long as that's not the last time you try something, then fine. Like, just do whatever. This won't be the last Spider-Man movie. But like, to see that people are angry about like what elves look like just because it doesn't.
See, that seems stupid.
Seems stupid
in my opinion.
And I can understand, like, people want to identify with the character, and it becomes selfish to an extent. And not to say that's a bad thing. Like, when you're like, I want Spider-Man. I identify with Spider-Man, and I want to continue identifying with Spider-Man. And other people who are not like me, well, why can't they get their own Spider-Man? Like, I understand where that comes from, but at the same time, it's like, don't yank a different version of Spider-Man away from other people just because it's not what you have, how you identify with Spider-Man, or how you
sure
feel. Like, people got super pissed about, when people get angry about this, I think a lot of times it is kind of a selfish thing, and maybe not even like a necessarily a racist thing, even though when you complain about it, that's how it comes off. But you're like, oh, Michael Clark Duncan but it's like, who's identifying with Kingpin? You're just mad because it's not what you recognize. But like, I understand how people get defensive about a character that they really identify with and they really like it.
Absolutely.
So he can't deviate from this pattern. Well, I understand why that upsets people, but at the same time, it's like, you do realize that the second you complain about it, you prove the point that like people are making.
Right.
So it's just like, just see what happens. Just see what happens. And as long as it doesn't kill the character, and I think that's another thing people are scared about, is like suddenly I'll never see the Peter Parker that I identify with anymore. I'll never see non-sparkly vampires ever again. This is what it is. This becomes popular. That's what happened to Star Wars to me. I think Star Wars, once the prequels were embraced, it has never gone back to original Star Wars until we get like, I just watched another episode of Obi-Wan recently. I'm trying to get through Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader showed up and was a motherfucking badass. I was like, that's cool. That felt like old Star Wars without fucking clone bots and stuff. I mean, I just think at the end of the day,
clone bots.
if you see an iteration of something,
best, most flippant critique of the clone of the prequel shit ever. Clone bots.
Fucking clone bots. If you see something that you feel riled up about, and I'm definitely going to be a hypocrite about this because I just fucking railed on how much I hated that Spider-Man. But if you see something, and maybe this will help me work through it. Maybe this is my syringe of green shit that I'm about to shoot into my neck. When you see something that you are having a hard time identifying with because it doesn't match the version that you know, I'm looking at all women Ghostbusters here, like everybody who lost their shit about that.
Sure, yeah.
Oh my God, it's not the thing that I recognize. I don't identify with it. Instead of like getting pissed, don't go see it. Or go see it with an open mind and maybe it'll change your mind. But if you don't like it, don't go see it. And hopefully they'll just make more and it'll come back around. But like, that's like going to a party and you're mad because you're like, I wanted the host to talk to me the whole time. And it's like, no, they got to make rounds around the party. They got to make their way around the party, man. It's a party. And the party's for everybody. Like, that's the thing. Everyone was invited to the nerd party.
Right. And when you think about properties like Star Wars and Spider-Man, God's sake, there's enough for all of us, right? Like, even if you made Peter Parker a female, gay, black person, like, even if that's forevermore what Spider-Man was, like I said, there's still 60 years of other Spider-Man versions.
Yeah.
If you don't like this one, there's other ones you could look at. If you don't like the prequels, there's the original trilogy. There's the toys. There's the video games. There's whatever.
You're not getting kicked out of the party because it's not the one. It's not your favorite iteration. There's tons of people who are like, Michael Keaton forever. That's my favorite Batman. Any other Batman sucks. That's fine, but they keep making Batman movies. If you don't like if you don't like the Twilight Batman, the emo ass Batman from the last movie, guess what? They're in 3 more movies. They're going to make there'll be a new Batman. There'll be some new person.
Well, I guess again, it's like what I said earlier about there being art. If you and I go to a fucking, I don't know, museum or a gala or a gallery, and you and I look at the same painting, it might make you cry. You might be moved to tears. And I might be like, I don't get it. Or I might be like, I don't like it. Or I might watch you crying and be like, why are you crying? I am so far removed from that. It makes me angry. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to feel any of that. The thing that I think, and this is my personal opinion, the problem is when my problem with it interferes with your enjoyment of it, right?
100%.
I can say that painting sucks. Me and you, we have a podcast where you and I talk about what we feel like. And luckily, we have a lot of listeners that like our shit or at least come and listen to our shit. If you and I hate the new Spider-Man or hate the new this or hate the new whatever, fine. But we're not telling people don't like this. We're not telling people you shouldn't like this because, right? Like, well, I guess kind of we are. But I mean, at least you and I don't think we're doing it with any animosity. It's like, if anything, we're trying to get the laughs for what we're ripping. And I think, like you said, like, we don't like Rob Zombie's Halloween. Why? Because we care about the other versions of Halloween. I think I have some pretty justifiable, valid critiques of that movie. Even a fan of Rob Zombie Halloween, I think, would say, okay, what you're saying makes sense. I just disagree with it. And that's great. We can all like and dislike different things. It's just, I shouldn't dislike it so much that it hurts your enjoyment of it, right? That's when it starts to be toxic.
And exactly. And I think the best you can do is, instead of trying to like goal keep Spider-Man.
Sure. Yeah.
And like knock other people out. No, get that Spider-Man and get this Spider-Man out of here. You knock it out of the way. You should just state your point of why this is my favorite one. You know, it's like, let's talk about sports for a second. There's people who are big fans of sports teams, and sorry about you, your sports team sucks, but you're going to defend it to the day you die and tell everybody else, well, their sports team sucks. I think geeks and nerds and people who are passionate about fandoms forget that it's basically just a sports team. Like you're just cheering for your version of the team. You're just cheering for the thing that you like. And I think you brought up a good point about that, is like, you're not there to be the gatekeeper to it. It's not yours. And I think people get really possessive of it. It's not yours. And I think people get scared and sad when what they feel very possessive and like identify with shifts in a way that is foreign to them, like the prequels. Oh man, Star Wars isn't what I used to like it as. Oh man. But like, those 3 movies still exist, and I still see Darth Vader everywhere. And like you said, I see a Star Wars shirt, I'm still like, cool, unless it has battle droids on it. Then I'm like,
Roger. I was literally going to say Roger.
Roger. Yeah. But it's, you know, and we kid around. I do jokingly get super pissed off, but I genuinely was not a fan of the new Spider-Man plot. I like that they got 3 Spider-Man back on screen. That was cool. I like that they brought back Willem Dafoe. Put that guy on screen anytime and I'll be a fan of.
I like that you think the plural of Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Like octopus or something.
Octopi.
I like that they have 3 Spider-Man on screen.
Spider-Mans? I got 3 Spider-Mans on there. But like, even in those 3 Spider-Mans, are there people who are genuinely being like, fucking Tom Holland, not my Spider-Man? Like, it's like, are there Tobey Maguire diehards who are trying to gatekeep that shit?
They must. I mean, I would think yes, right? There has to be someone that likes everything.
Yeah,
like for everything, right? Whatever you think could be the stupidest thing, someone must like that theoretically.
Yeah. And at the beginning, you said it is not worth getting so exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm like sweating from all the smoke pouring out of my ears. You're so right, Rumi. Wasn't worth it. But you know that I hate my shit. And you know what? This is, I guess this is a really good time. I was thinking about asking if you wanted to do an episode, if you thought we can get an episode out of this. Clearly you can, because we've been talking for almost a half an hour. But like, excuse me, I went back and reread Predator Cold War, which is a Predator Dark Horse comic series from the 90s. And in it, they all have like there's a clan of predators essentially, and they all have different masks. And I love that series and I love those designs. But reading that again, I realized other Predator books that I read, comics that I read in that same time frame, I didn't like it because the designs were too far off from the original Predator and Predator 2 designs. And I was like staunch about that opinion as a kid and as even a young adult, I guess. I recently rewatched Aliens vs. Predator and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. And in Requiem, Wolf walks up to a wall of masks and chooses one. And I was like, at 40 years old, I was like, well, that makes sense. Like if you were a hunter, you would have multiple hunting gears. And depending on where you were going and what you were doing, you would choose different shit for that, right? You would choose different equipment for where you went, different wardrobe. So that made sense. And then I was like, also, why would I think there's a race of creatures that all have the same fucking mask? Humans don't all have the same hat. That doesn't make sense. So they started to be like, what a stupid opinion to have that like, I only liked predators that look like this. I even also used to hate it when they put the wrist gauntlet on the left side. What if there was a left-handed predator? And I like thinking about that. Like I'm definitely too old now to give too much of a shit about that.
Like, make Predator a black gay woman. I don't care. Like, if you're making a Predator movie and the movie's halfway decent, great. Thank you for doing your service. That's all I care about at this point, you know?
Here's another point to bring up is that now that we have kids, you and I have both put on music and it's been like fucking Baby Shark do, and you're like, this is god awful. But my kid likes it, and I'm introducing them to music. And I'll show them the music that I like, and I'll listen to the music they like, or the music that my wife likes, or, you know, the music that their teacher introduces to them. They're going to have different tastes than me. And because it's my kid, I tolerate that shit. Okay, I'll listen to Baby Beluga. Yeah, for the 100th time. Baby Shark for the 100th time, because it makes you happy. And I think it's your job, if you are a nerd, is to bring people to the party. Hey, come on in. Sure, here's this Ghostbuster movie that I'm not a fan of, but if it makes you like the thing that I like, and then we can be like, cool, we're fans about, you know, here's this fucking shitty Spider-Man movie, but that was the one you like? Cool, now we can talk about Spider-Man. You have more fans, you have more people at the party. Hopefully it makes the party funner, but you have to sit through a song you didn't like. It doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't break anything. You're still, as long as like you're not trying to kick people out of the party, then why not have a good time?
That's a good way to think of it.
Even if it means that you had to sit through a song that you hated. Oh my God, the Macarena, they played it twice at this party? Fuck this DJ. But hey, the rest of the time we're having a good time, and there's free drinks, so whatever.
I watched, to kind of loop it back, I watched Far From Home at a drive-in, and I was in the car by myself.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. I didn't want to see it on a home screen for the first time, let alone a fucking plain screen. So I saw it, and I saw it like it was re-released. I think it was a later release of it. So I had not seen it for a while. So I had tiny spoilers here and there, but not too bad. And I'm watching it, and when the swirly swirl happens and Andrew Garfield walked out, or walked into frame, and you saw it was Andrew Garfield, the car in front of me, the guy or whoever was in the driver's seat had his window open, and he thrust his fist up in the air and yelled like, "Woo, yeah!" And I remember being like, you have that strong of a reaction to Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? And I actually thought Amazing Spider-Man was a decent movie. I liked it better than any of the Tobey Maguire stuff. But I didn't think there was anything to it. Like, there wasn't anything memorable or good about it. I just like him, and I like the package better than the Tobey Maguire. Same thing with Amazing Spider-Man 2. If anything, I thought it was like lukewarm entries. Nothing bad. But cheering out of your car window in front of other people? And then I was like, but like, I don't get that. I don't speak that language. But that fucking guy, that guy was fucking happy that his Spider-Man came into that movie. And I remember that kind of like made me more excited for the rest of the film as I was watching it. You know what I mean? And it is kind of like, and you must have felt this, and everybody that walks into Comic-Con kind of feeling the vibe. You look around and you see fucking thousands of people loving what they love. And it doesn't matter if it's anime, and it doesn't matter if it's comics. It doesn't matter if you're the only one in that convention hall that loves that episode. You're probably not. But just the fact that you are like, fuck yeah, I'm dressing up as my favorite anime character that nobody else but me knows the name of. Great. Do it, man. And it's just so, it was watching that movie and having that thought while Andrew Garfield walked out and this rando guy cheered for it. I was like, you go, man. You cheer for the quietest Spider-Man of the film. And if that made your night that he walked into that scene, great. And that made me realize that, like, what we just said, essentially, there's been Spider-Man comics that I've read that have literally made me cry. There's been Spider-Man comics that I've read that I'm like, that doesn't even really feel like Spider-Man. But that comic was somebody's first Spider-Man comic, right? Somebody read that comic that I didn't really get anything from. And that was their jump off point. That was that was the comic that got them into the character or even the medium. And that's fucking cool to think about, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the video game made me cry. Spider-Man, the video game.
I just started that like 2 weeks ago.
So
I
good.
beat the Kingpin. He was white. And then I kind of got bored. I heard it's so great. I'm going to keep playing it just for the story.
You should just crank it down to easy and just play through it. There's some awesome stuff to it. Like I love, there's a bit where he has to go to a Halloween party and like he's looking for the real, the real bad guys. And like, it's good. But the end, don't
tell me. Because actually it hasn't gotten spoiled, but
it's a good game.
So you fans of our show who've been here for a while, you guys know that we have a buddy, Zeb Wells, who he's now currently writing Amazing Spider-Man. He wrote a bunch of comic book stories for a while. He's also a big Robot Chicken and that, Bad Robot and Seth Green, those guys. He wrote a comic with Spider-Man and Wolverine that literally chokes me up when I try to explain the plot to it. Same thing with Spider-Man Blue, which was Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. It's my favorite. The Spider-Man Blue page is my favorite comic book page ever. And my second favorite is actually a 2 or 3 page spread or sequence that Zeb Wells wrote. And like literally, I can't really explain what's happening in those panels without getting choked up or full on crying.
Because
it's so powerful.
It's Wolverine's birthday and he's a loser and he wants to hang out with Spider-Man. And it's like, well.
But you like watching this movie, and this is I can at least sign off after I say this about Far From Home. The movie was fine, and there's nothing super cool about it, except when you were talking about Boba Fett, you said while you were watching it, there was one thing that essentially saved the series from you, right? You probably would have trashed the whole thing in your brain and in your heart, except Boba Fett rode a Rancor, and that upped it for you, right?
Sure.
Tobey Maguire, hands down, my least favorite Spider-Man on the screen. Maybe he's one of my least favorite actors in general. I just can't stand him, and I can't stand him as Spider-Man. In that movie, I think it's towards the middle of the end, Doc Ock says, "Peter, how are you? You've grown old. You've gotten older. How are you?" And Peter says, "Trying to do better." Oh, I'm getting choked up just saying it. That is like quintessential Peter Parker Spider-Man answer to me. And when that happened and I watched that, it was like that vertigo shot of me where it's like, it's panning and zooming, because like to me, that one line, that one shot of the movie got it. And it was like, that's what Spider-Man would say. That's what an older Spider-Man who's been around the block a couple of times would say. And I just thought that was fucking great writing. That was one of the best Spider-Man lines I remember hearing, not just in movies, but in comics. So I agree with your MIT bullshit. I agree with your insanity cures and shit overnight with stuff that is lying around. You know what I mean? It's not like they broke into Oscorp to do it. Yeah. They literally were doing it in Happy's apartment, right? Come on now.
And it's like, you already had a magician, and suddenly you're like, well, we also have this science box that's basically fucking magic. Yeah. This box will do it, and they just cured.
That movie to me was so
insanity.
Stupid, but it had so much heart, especially at the end there with the 3 guys. I did not expect to be as moved by the 3 guys together. I thought I was going to think it was a cool novelty, but to see them actually acting like 3 different versions of the same character, to hear them talking about their loves and their conquests and their failures together, I was like, fuck, that's some deep shit. And they all acted like a Peter Parker would. And I thought that was really cool.
I agree. I do agree with that. I absolutely agree that the part that they thought about, the part that they pitched the movie with.
Sure. Yeah.
Because literally, you can tell this was, wouldn't it be cool if we got 3 Spider-Man together and basically put the Sinister Six on screen, all but Venom? And everybody went, yeah, actually, that would be awesome. And they're like, what do we do for the beginning of the movie? Well, we'll figure it out. Okay. The rest of it was cool. And I liked when they were going through the Mirrorverse and there was all that weird trippy shit. That was really cool.
It's fine. Yeah.
Great VFX. And I guess it really does just come down to the, try to get everybody in the door. Let's get everybody enjoying some Spider-Man. I don't need to shit all over it. Why not?
Let's not forget the lesson that you kind of pointed at. If you can't get everyone through the door, go bother a wizard and bug him until he changes the fabric of reality. Well, I got you pretty good with that one.
Go bother a wizard. That's fucking hysterical, dude. Oh, well, I learned a lot today, Rumi. We got pretty deep.
We did.
We yeah, guys, don't be an asshole. Let everybody be in the party. But like, here's another thing. It's okay to not know. And if you see something, you're like, I don't like that the elves look different. Think about that. Think, well, hey, why? Wait, why don't I? And suddenly you'll be like, oh, it's not a big deal. Or maybe you'll be like, it is a big deal.
I'm a giant fucking racist.
I'm a giant fucking racist. And your dad takes off his hood for a minute and goes, that's my boy. And you're like, oh, that explains it all. That explains it all. He went and found the wrong wizard. Oh,
oh my God.
Oh man, guys, what did you think about Spider-Man No Way Home? Did you like it? Am I full of shit? Am I just a hater? When did you realize who your favorite Spider-Man was? Let us know. Facebook.
Were you the guy in front of me who was yelling out of his car? Did you see it at the I think it was at the Greek. We saw it outside at the Greek.
No.
Tell us what you guys feel about when they make a major change to a character.
Yeah.
You roll with it, you excited to see where it goes, or do you kind of like at least the foundations of your characters to stay the same?
Yeah. It is interesting. I think it is very interesting. And having the dialogue, I think, is important because then you might learn something.
So otherwise the movie would be silent. No, but actually, like not to get too deep, but what you said is actually super fucking important. And something that I try to do in general is like, why am I hating on that? Why do I care that it's different? Think about it.
I literally hated on it to make you laugh. so that we could laugh. I was like, this is stupid. And I think I could be hilariously pissed off about it.
Yeah, for sure. Most of that. Yeah, I think I'm waiting for people to be like, you told us not to hate on anything, but in these episodes 1, 4, 8, 12, 6, blah, 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 you hated on all of these things. I'll be like, yeah, but that was just to make you laugh.
Yeah.
I was shitting on something that someone worked years on just for you to laugh at me and me not even to be able to hear it.
You think we took a big fucking dump on the last Predator movie because it was fun? Because there's something fun about the righteous indignation. But you know what? I think, like I said, I like my party analogy. I'm really high on this.
It is good. Yeah, you are.
It's good. Yeah. Hit us up on social media. It's a party there. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Launchpad Pod, on our website, launchpadpod.com. And look on our YouTube. Look at this giant papercraft R2D2 in Matt's room and my shitty Matrixy Launchpad room.
Yeah. At the beginning of this episode, I said to Rumi, I was like, hey, I just got a new watch and a new shirt, and I really want to tell you about it. Should I do that before the show, after the show, or like on air during the show? He's like, it's probably not good radio, so don't do it. And then immediately starts holding up books that you can't even see because of his fucking cyber background. Like, you fucking visual hypocrite.
At least a book I can like name. I can be like, this is Gideon Falls.
But I can name a watch with lights on it. I could explain my shirt.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody will get excited as I will.
You're the only one I care about.
Dearest Rumi, I'm here in Savannah, Georgia. This was fun. Let's blast this thing off.
Whoosh. Ooh, it looked weird when you did it.
Because it was backwards?
No, because it was bad radio.
I think it's so funny because there's been multiple people who are like, what is the high five? And one of my favorite moments is I worked with a guy who became a listener. Shout out Dempsey. And I was like, do you know the handshake? He's like, I think I do. I was like, you want to do it? And he was like, oh, he got excited. We did it. He did it. It was great.
It's so funny because it's just the right amount, I think, of like asinine, stupid kid nonsense with the raspberry noise. But the rest of it is actually pretty cool and on brand for the Launchpad podcast. And we've only had one person complain kind of like too cool for it. Everybody else, from like pretty famous to not pretty famous to like some randos, have been into it. And it's fucking funny to do it with people.
Yeah. I think only one person's like, no, I will not let you record me doing a raspberry. And you're like,
and it was not like, I don't know if we've said it before, but it was not of the people we've talked to. There were people who should have said, no, I'm above that because I'm some sort of scholar or something.
Fucking Dolph Lundgren did it. So
yeah, he laughed his ass off too. Dave Gibbons did it.
Dave Gibbons
has done it more than once.
He probably knows it by now. He's probably like,
yeah, he likes it. Oh God.
All right, guys, we're the Rocketeers. We are out.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3,